Hey friend, welcome to Pursuing Goals God's Way. Have you thought about finally starting that business now that your kids are older? Do you ever stay awake wondering how to mesh your passions into purposeful work? Do you have big, ambitious goals but feel overwhelmed or even unqualified to pursue them? Hey, I'm Gabe. Not too long ago, I longed for the confidence to start an online business. I just wanted to make a difference outside my home bubble using my gifts. But I kept telling myself that I wasn't good enough. I didn't know enough, and I didn't have enough time. Until I realized something huge. My kids need me to be their example, and they need to see me win. And yours do too. In this podcast, you will learn how to clarify your goals, plan with purpose, and ditch your distractions. If you're ready to make an impact and an income, all for the glory of God, then you're in the right place. As an avid runner, I believe life is one massive marathon. It's up to you to run your own race and to finish it well. So lace up those running shoes, pop in your earbuds, and let's do this thing. Hey friend, welcome to Pursuing Goals God's Way. I am so excited for you to be tuning in today because I have a special treat for you. Now, I have a couple questions for you. It's about social media. Is it time to shut off your social media? Is social media distracting you from other priorities? Are you playing the comparison game when you're scrolling? And if you do decide to take a social media break, won't that affect your online business? These are some questions that I had as I was deciding what to do with my own social media intake and content creation. And last week, Gillian Perkins and I talked about knowing when it's time to give up and move on from a goal. Well, I took our advice and did exactly that with social media. What? Yeah, exactly. Now, I do want to plug, if you haven't listened to our series on perseverance, I encourage you to go back and listen to them. We talk all about setting yourself up for success from the start. We talk about being motivated when you're not feeling motivated. We talk about all things overcoming obstacles as you pursue your goal. So many good nuggets inside there. Gillian Perkins is one of my business mentors, and I know that you will gain so much insight from that series. So go take a listen. But today, we're talking about giving up and moving on. And I decided to give up social media. I really felt the pull for a while now to step away from social media altogether. Social media just really hasn't been as enjoyable for me, maybe because of all the ads I see rather than the fun pictures of my friends, but it can also be so distracting. You think you'll go on for 5 minutes only to realize it's been more than an hour and now you're behind in your day, right? Do you feel me on that? I would love it if I could just pick the handful of people's posts I always want to see, but there really isn't an option for that. There used to be an option in Facebook where you could put people into lists, and then you could click on those lists and see the people inside them. And I really loved that because I could categorize them like family or college friends or work friends, and I could be able to see and get updated on everything I wanted to. But now the feed is inundated with ads, and let's just face it, people from my distant past. That's who I see. And I really love that you can keep in touch on social, but the rest of it, I could really leave it without even blinking. So, what took me so long to get off? Well, here's the thing. I really wasn't on that much anyway. Like I was posting podcast episodes when they were coming out. I would post here and there, sometimes things about our family, but I wasn't really doing much there and I wasn't really consuming too much. But I was still on. And really, first of all, I do have rabid FOMO. So FOMO, fear of missing out. Yep. So I really didn't want to miss anything. That's kind of a personal reason. But for business, I thought I had to be on all the places to grow my business. I mean, how would people see what I'm doing otherwise? That's a lie, though. Even if I get thousands of people to like my post, most likely someone looked at a photo for a millisecond and hit the heart button. Then they've already moved on with their day. They're not going to click the links that I have. They're not going to, think too much of it after reading it for the most part. Now, granted, I do know many people are successful selling on social media. I guess I'm just not motivated to put in all that work to see very little result. I choose to do my marketing elsewhere. So I had social media just because I thought I had to. When I released my first book, Mind Over Marathon, I did leverage social media and I did get some traction with it. And again, I do believe there's a time and a place for it. I just no longer wanted to be everywhere. Repurposing content is a great idea, but it still takes time and attention away from what really matters. And if you're repurposing right, you still need to update each piece of content to fit whichever platform you're sharing it to. Otherwise, there's no purpose or intention behind it. We might have to do an episode on how to do that at some point here. But what I'm saying is, I was stretched so thin. I have my day job that takes a lot of energy and time from me, even though I love what I do. And so when I had time to do my own business things and work on my podcast and things, I didn't want to have to be everywhere. So really, after feeling the pull for a while, and when I say a while, I'm talking probably at least 12 months. I've been feeling this for at least a year. And I was really feeling that God was leading me out. So I decided to shut it off. It's a hiatus. I haven't deleted anything. I just walked away. For how long? I'm just not sure. 6 months for sure, maybe 12 months, maybe forever. Time will tell on that part. I most likely will come back in some capacity because my boys are online now, so I like to see what they're doing. We have our foreign exchange student that we had in 2020, and I like to see what he's up to. There's a few things that I would like to see, so I most likely will come back on in some form. But will I ever use it for business again? I'm not sure. This is just one big experiment, letting go to see if I can still grow. So I did leave my Facebook group open as a way to still connect. So you can find me there if you search for Simplicity and Motherhood. And I'll add the link to the show notes if you want to come inside there. It's a really fun group. We have a great time in there. Lots of good discussions, lots of good engagement. But from coming off social media, I came off at the beginning of January. So it's already been a couple of months. And I wanted to do this episode a little bit sooner, but I wanted to get that Perseverance episode series out for you. So I held off on doing this one. And I also wanted to see what happened in the first couple of months already. So here's what I've noticed. The first thing is that I was hardly on social media to begin with, but I'm still finding more time just taking that focus off my plate completely. I'm not having to create extra graphics or take Insta-worthy pictures anymore. I'm not focused on, I need to go see what everyone's up to, because if somebody goes to my profile, they see that I'm not on there anyway. So, people can text me or email me or whatever, come on the newsletter to get updates from me. But I'm just not going to do that anymore, at least for now. But I now have a little bit more time, a little bit more focus, which is really great. The second thing I noticed is that my business hasn't dropped. Actually, my podcast numbers have grown. This is something I struggled with all of last year. My podcast was stagnant no matter what I did, and I couldn't figure out how to change it. I did an expensive mastermind to help me out with that, and though I made some really great connections and I learned a ton, it was totally worth it, I still didn't see what I wanted, which was growth. But in January alone, I had 2,000 extra downloads. I sometimes wonder if it was stepping away from social media, if it was pivoting when God told me to, because I pivoted the podcast again and my content, or if it was a little of both that stemmed the growth. But I do think it was obedience. God will bless obedience. Okay, so the third thing that I noticed, my mind is free of the comparison trap that we so often find ourselves in online. I'm in my lane and no one else's, and it feels so good. Do you feel that comparison trap when you're scrolling? When you're looking at either other businesses that started at the same place as you and are way far ahead of you, or you're looking at your friends who seem to have everything together and everything they want, and you're just seeing like the picture perfect part of everyone's lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I still fall into the trap, even offline. I will fall into that comparison trap sometimes, but it's so much better than scrolling mindlessly and feeling bad about where I'm at compared to larger accounts or to other people in my social atmosphere. Now, fourth, this is a personal note. I no longer see all my kids' milestones and activities through the lens of a camera. Yes, I still take pictures. And they ask me to take pictures sometimes. Well, my oldest ones don't want pictures taken, but I'm not trying to get the perfect Insta-worthy one. I'm just soaking in the memories and trying to be present where I am. This has been one of the biggest benefits of all. I've noticed I don't have 500 million photos in my photo collection anymore. I have ones that have meaning, and I love that. So those are the 4 takeaways I've had so far. And here's what I did. I even hired my son, so my middle son, to be quote unquote my social media manager. Now, he doesn't post anything because I'm not doing social media, but once a week he goes into my account and he marks everything as read on Facebook and Instagram because I really hate red notifications. They're like way too overstimulating for me. I don't want them on my phone. I don't want them on my computer screen. So I turn most of my notifications off for that reason. But he does that for me. And then he checks my direct messages and sends them my email if they need to get into contact. So I don't even have to go in there. I think I did go in there last week and kind of did that because he had fallen behind a little bit. But it felt good to not have to focus on that and to know that's going to be taken care of. And if somebody goes to my profile, they'll also see ways to connect with me and that I'm off. So they'll see why I haven't responded to them. So here's what I want to do with this experiment. I want to share what I learned throughout my time off social media. I want to give you tips for growing your business off social media too. And these tips will come from things I try that work for me. I might even get an interview or 2 in here because I know other people are doing the same thing. I want to give you permission to shut it off if you're feeling the pull like I did. Now, if you're not feeling that pull, no worries. Don't do it. It's fine. Stay on social media. It's not an evil thing. It is if it's distracting you from your purpose, right? But it's not an evil thing. So if you love it and you're not feeling that, stay there. But if you are feeling that nudge, God rewards obedience. I challenge you to step away for a certain amount of time and see if it makes a difference. So what I'm going to do is each month that I'm off social media, at least for a while, I'll share an episode on how it's going, what's working, what's not, how I'm feeling about it, and tips that I have for you. But before I let you go today, I want you to know where I'll be for you, since I obviously won't be on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or any of the places. You can join my newsletter to get weekly encouragement and tips as you turn your passion and purpose into impact and income, all for the glory of God. I am nurturing that list and giving you my best each week that I write to you. You can also find me in the Simplicity and Motherhood Facebook group, like I shared before. I actually link the group in my Asana project management tool so I can go directly to the group and avoid any other distractions on Facebook. I eliminate seeing anything in my feed, and that is how intentional I'm being to remain social media free. I keep that group open because we are engaging in there. It's a fun place to just nurture conversation and discussion, and I have a couple other friends that do it with me, so it's not like it's taking all of my time. So here's the thing. I mentioned I wasn't even really on social media much, and that's true. So you may be wondering why it matters for me to get off. Well, what I've found is that when I did post, I found myself online more often checking for likes and comments, but it wasn't growing me or my business in any way. Maybe it was just making me vain more than anything. So it was the beast of the matter. If I didn't post, then I wouldn't gain traction. And I would have to post way more often to really gain that traction. But the more I post, the more I'm addicted to seeing what others think of what I write. This is the enemy to productivity. It's the enemy to living in real life. So I said, you know what? I said, I'm done. I quit. And maybe that's you today. If it is, take a week off and see what happens. Decide to do a month fast from social media. And when you feel the urge to get online, pray instead. Seek God and bring him into it. He'll let you know if it's something you need to do. All right, that's all I have. Until next time, in all things I pray, you just run your race. I believe in you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time and I hope you did too. Before we go though, make sure you follow the podcast on your favorite listening platform if you haven't already. If you resonate with this episode, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or share it with a friend as this helps grow the podcast. Also, if you're not a part of Simplicity and Motherhood, consider joining us. It's a free online community built to provide support and encouragement so you can create balance and live intentionally as you go after your biggest goals, God's way. Head on over to redhotmindset.com for more resources and to find the link to join the community. In all things I pray, you just run your race. I believe in you.